Foreign Secretary David Cameron, or Lord David Cameron, was speaking to Trevor Phillips this morning, mostly about Ukraine and Gaza and all that jazz. But at the end of the interview, the subject of leadership did come up. Phillips showed Cameron two videos, one of a prime ministerial statement addressing the nation, and the other was Rishi Sunak making a coffee. Now, throughout the segment, naturally, Cameron tries to debunk any rumours that he's looking to take over and possibly advise Sunak on how to present himself. And to be fair, I can actually believe that because he's put out a video of him pouring milk into a coffee. The question is, really, do you think Cameron would have a better chance in the election? Personally, I think the tide has turned, and I think the general public now want the Conservatives out, and I don't think installing Cameron as leader would make any difference. But if Cameron was to take over from Sunak, do you think the poll gap would actually narrow? He certainly comes across as more statesmanlike. So have a watch of this and let me know what you think in the comments.
Let's be frank, you got a thumping in the local elections. I spoke to the Prime Minister last week. He's obviously pretty frustrated he can't close the gap with Labour. Let's suppose there was some old greybeard at the cabinet table who had maybe helped John Major win against the odds in 1992, might even have led the party to a couple of election victories himself. What would that greybeard be saying to the Prime Minister now about how he gets himself out of this?
What I say, I don't have a beard, and I'm going grey, but I've still got a long way to go. I say to him, stick to the plan. I mean, I think the Prime Minister is a good man doing a great job at a difficult time. We saw last week that his economic plans are coming right, you know, with a 0.6% growth, much more than people expected, more than the IMF expected. Yeah. And you could almost feel they were desperate for the election now, because the longer actually we have between now and the election, the more you're going to see the plan is working.
Oh, do you think that you're advising him to
I'm not in charge of election timing, let me be absolutely clear, but I think he's right. He said second half of the year, and I think that's absolutely right, because things are, you can see the economic plan is working.
OK, you're talking about a team, but actually part of the problem, and one of the reasons that Labour's probably quite keen, is that they think your team captain is lacking. Let me show you something a lot of people have been talking about. Let's have a look at this.
This is the TLDR, too long, didn't read version. The world is more dangerous than most of us have ever known. But we shouldn't let the risk we face overwhelm us into inaction. We can still make a difference.
Now, all my friends have been watching this and saying to me, watch out, this bloke is after your job. Let's look at this one.
No, I'm not.
Well, let's look at this by contrast. Now, let us be honest. Let us be honest. The first clip is in a different class to the second one. Why can't he do what you do?
Well, the second is more retail, and actually I think the fact that you know pensions are going up by £900 and national insurance is coming down by £900.
I'm glad you explained what it was about, because I didn't understand what it was about.
Yeah, but you and I have a certain generation. You know, the point is, his one actually, I mean, that's what really matters. Look, what I'm doing is important, I hope, and we're trying to make sure we have security. But ultimately, that £900 off your national insurance, that £900 on your pension, a massive achievement. And I think actually Rishi explains that extremely well.
Yeah, look, the point is that the leader has to be able to communicate both the message and the mood and the feel and persuade people. And it's no particular criticism of somebody if they can't do that, but it's quite a striking contrast that people are talking about, that you seem to be able to do this very well, he doesn't. And I suppose the question that's being asked is, your back's against the wall. Is this the right man to be leading you?
Definitely. I mean, I think, you know, you go back to when Rishi took over. He did a very brave thing, actually, when he was campaigning for the leadership of the party. He said he thought that Liz Truss's policies were wrong and would end in tears, and he wouldn't support them. And that was a very clear, you know, a very clear statement, and he was proved 100% right. And then he takes over in difficult circumstances and says, I'm going to have to make some tough decisions to turn this around. And that's exactly what he's done. And you can now see the fruits of that with the economy growing, with inflation falling and all the rest of it. So all I can say, look, I sit around the cabinet table.
All right.
I sit around the cabinet table and I see someone who's an extremely strong and clear leader. No, I am now I'm Foreign Secretary. I sit in the House of Lords. I'm not in the House of Commons. I'm part of Rishi's team.
You could get back.
That is what I'm interested in doing, and that's what I'm going to do.
Throughout that interview, he was trying to say that he thinks it's right that the general election is in the second half of the year because his plan's working, or Sunak's plan's working, should we say. At no point did Trevor Phillips ask him what Sunak actually did in his plan in order to achieve those goals. And it really frustrates me because the basic answer is he sat around on his hands and did nothing and let the inflation fall down naturally. But anyway, he's been in power for the best part of 18 months now. So what do you think Sunak's biggest achievement is? If you don't know, well, he tells you in the video that's on screen right now, and I think you'll be quite surprised. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time.